What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Talk on Top podcast. We're here. You can find daily videos Monday through Friday covering all the four major sports leagues, whether that be MLB, NHL, NBA, or NFL, games, news, highlights, all that fun stuff. And Nick, in today's episode for our MLB segment, it's only fair, we promote the only, sporting event that's consistently going on right now, but we do have football coming around the corner still. But with that being said, Nick, overall, a lot of big critical series just ended yesterday, and it's only fair we talk about them, maybe give a little breakdown. But with that being said, wherever you want to start, it's cool with me.
You know what? Let's get it out of the way right now. Let's just get out of the way that the Yankees look like they've made the move of the deadline. They are now 5-0 in the Jazz Chisholm era. They're rolling again. They're rolling. I think all they needed was a lineup change, and they got it. I hate talking about it.
Did they sweep the Phillies?
Yep, they swept the Phillies. The Phillies are going bad right now. Like we talked about yesterday, the Phillies are doing nothing but letting Atlanta and even the Mets hang around. But I'll give credit when credit's due. The Yankees are hitting the shit out of the ball ever since they've gotten Jazz. You can go back to the Red Sox series if you want, but hitters still got to hit, and they faced some very good pitching against the Phillies and pretty much hit them all. So I'm not going to say shout out to the Yankees. I'll never shout out the Yankees, but I'll give them credit because they're looking like they're back where they were the first 2 months of the season.
Yep, that's fair place to start.
You can move to the. Actually, you know what? Before we move to the Twins, though, I want to give a shout out to this Orioles game. It wasn't a crazy
we'll talk about
game,
it.
but Jackson Holiday picked up his first homer because he got called up again. Big shout out to him because he was facing the music when he came up and got one hit in I think 10 or 15 games. Was looking very, very rough. Ends up with a grand slam yesterday. It was really cool to see in Baltimore. So big shout out to him. Hopefully he can stay hot because, I'm not somebody who is going to just laugh at any young kid prospect who isn't exactly hitting the ball the way he's expected to. I see a bunch of people on social media saying it's hilarious how this kid's a bust now. It's he's not succeeding. Number one prospect for what? It's dude, the kid's, I think he's 20 years old. So
yeah,
cut him some slack. It's Major League Baseball. It's not exactly a walk in the park, no matter how good you are. So I hope he succeeds. I want to see him succeed.
Yeah, no, and he delivered big time yesterday to help propel them to that win. But just going back to the Yankees, Phillies, for Philly, something's got to flip here. Inexplicable loss when we talked about it, preview of the week series where, but this was arguably series of the year we had hyped up. You lose, and never mind, at home. You fall behind early. Your pitching just got beat up. Zach Wheeler had a rough game earlier in the series. And just kind of Sanchez, not his best stuff. So, for Philly, where do you go from here? The trade deadline has kind of come and gone. So, what can you do to get back on track? Maybe it's just, a bad slump that every good team goes through. But, this team has World Series expectations, and losing to a team you might face there, never mind getting swept in your home stadium, not the best look.
And it all starts with the Phillies. It's been their lineup that's the problem, and it starts with the heart, which is Bryce Harper. And just taking a look at some of his stats, in his last 7 games, Bryce Harper has 1 hit. In his last 15 games, he's batting .153. So if you want to look for where the problem is, it's right there. When Bryce Harper's not going, it puts more pressure on everybody around him. Everybody starts doing too much, and then it snowballs and snowballs. So Harper's in a slump, and the guys around him just got to be able to help him out of it. Guys like Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Austin Hayes, I know has been decent since he's gotten picked up, but they just need to support him. They can't just all rely on Harper to be that offense because it's not going to work.
Yeah, no, 100% agree, and it'll be interesting to see, what they do starting this weekend. How do they bounce back? But with that being said, moving to some other games, I guess we'll go to my Twins. Twins Mets was a great series. Mets still win 2 out of 3, but to avoid the sweep, always get one against a team that was red hot is fun. And Nick still waiting on that Byron Buxton apology.
He's got 13 homers, man. Once he hits that 20 homer plethora, then I'll apologize.
I mean, look at his OPS, well above average. Just dominating. What?
How many games does he have played?
I don't know.
OPS is a very misleading stat. You don't play a lot of games.
How many games would you assume he played?
I'm looking it up right now. He's got 82 games played this season.
So he's stayed relatively healthy this season.
That's like a career average for him is around 80 or 90 games. He has one season where he played.
But we also have 2 months left. So if he stays healthy, he's looking at 110 plus, which would be really good.
Yep. It would be second most in his career. And I think if he gets to 100, 110 games, he could get to 20 home runs because that's what he is. He's a power guy, but he's actually
also though this year he's even better than his 2022 All-Star year where he was in like 220 and made the All-Star game. This year he's at 280, so he's been hitting for a lot more contact, which I love. And with that, the power's kind of come along with it a little bit. And he's always been a really solid fielder, even if the speed's a little bit, not what it was, but really solid fielder and just overall great hitter this year. So he's just been, a guy that, you have been chinning on for a while now. And, I just simply can't tolerate it. One of the good ones in Byron Buxton.
Hey, I hope all is well for you, Byron. I hope you're having a good life. I just think the best ability is availability. And even Jake, you can't even avoid the fact that he's never available. And that's such a big problem.
Yeah, but I think people knew that, so I just don't get why you had to call him overrated. People know he's never really available, but when he is, he's one of the stars. And this year, I think he's quietly proven because for the most part, knock on wood, he's been relatively healthy. But and people just don't talk about him, but he's been one of the best players at the center field position this year.
I mean, he is having a quiet good year, probably just because so many other guys on the Twins are hitting good. That people just
speaking of that, I also want to talk about Matt Wallner, who's been mashing baseball since getting called up. He was on the team that made the playoffs last year. Had what I believe was similar to Jackson Holiday, was batting 80, like 0.8 average. So he had like 2 hits in like 15 games. Gets demoted, rakes in St. Paul, has come up and is at a 250 average, already like 7 dingers since being called up like 2 weeks ago, and is almost at 1,000 OPS. So he's been on an insane tear and has been proven. Right now I'd keep him up here for a while. And just seeing Royce Lewis back in the lineup, never.
Did he hit another homer yesterday? Looks like it.
I don't know if it was a homer. I think it was in maybe a RBI double. I think from what I remember, their big inning was the 3rd inning, where they, as you can see there, put up 5 runs. Where you start with Austin Martin, Larnach gets one, Kepler, Lewis, and then Wallner smashes a 2-run home run that I think went 450 feet. Maybe we can see in the scoreboard pop up. It was a moonshot. So
442. So it's a bomb.
Yeah. And when that's what he does basically, is if Matt Wallner can cut down the strikeouts, he'll definitely be up here. But, shout out the Mets as well. Can't be forgotten that they won 2 out of 3. But good to see Pablo Lopez pitching a lot better since the All-Star break. Has got that ERA to, around the middle of the 4s and picked up his 10th W yesterday.
Yep. Shout out to him. I think Pablo will turn it around, this next month and a half, as we get closer to the playoffs. He seems like a big game pitcher. So,
and he was coming up. He was one of the guys that talked about in bounce back. I think he'll be right there, and he'll kind of need to be. And he's proven so far he can be. So shout out Pablo, Luis Severino. Just bad start, but it is what it is. Mets will take 2 out of 3. Against a really good team like the Twins any day. So. With that being said, White Sox, Royals.
We can talk about the White Sox. The only news around the White Sox is they're gonna
Yeah,
break
the
the
losing streak continues until they lose. That's when or until they win a game. That's when we'll talk about them. But
now.
shout out
Nobody wants to be the team. It's like Detroit, where it's like you don't want to be the team that loses.
But shout out the Royals just taking care of business. That's
Yep.
all that can be said about that. Because it is tough, I think, for the Royals, Twins, and Guardians, as bad as the White Sox are. You're playing them 14, 15 times a year. You might slip up a couple times. I think the Twins are 10-1, and I think the Royals haven't lost yet. It might be like 6-0, 9-0, somewhere around there. So every team has taken good advantage of what they can. But, hopefully, it's like if you almost even if you take like 2 out of 3, that's considered a loss.
I agree. That one loss is going to feel like 5 losses for whatever team it is. And the thing is, as a Red Sox fan, I can't even talk smack about the White Sox because we split against these guys like a month and a half ago. So
that is true.
as much as I want to say how bad they are, the Red Sox.
The Red Sox missed the playoffs. If the Red Sox missed the playoffs, well, we might look back at that series and losing
by like 2 games. Imagine it's by 2 games.
That series, and I think the Oakland one, they lost 2 out of 3, so that was a little bit surprising a little bit ago.
I'm trying to remember it. Is it the one in Fenway? You might be right.
I don't know if it was in Fenway or in Oakland. I just remember there was, or maybe it's just the White Sox one where they just lost like 2 out of.
They lost 2 out of 3 to Colorado like a week ago.
No, that was a series. That was a series I was thinking of. I think they took care of Oakland.
Some bad teams. It's alarming.
It's just going to be the tough losses against those teams, and maybe even you win 2 out of 3 against Oakland at home, but you still lost 1, and at home you're still looking to sweep those kind of teams. So for the Red Sox, but Red Sox, we'll get into them probably now. Take care of business against a good Seattle team after I believe they lost the second game, but they win 2 out of 3 at home, so they get the series win.
Yeah, that was a good game yesterday. It was, like I said before this, the bullpen finally showed up. Lucas Sims actually made his first appearance. Got out of, I think it was like a first and third 1-out jam. They brought him in right after Brian Bayo gets out of it with no runs. Rafi Devers continues to rake. He's got that average up over 300 now. 3 hits yesterday. Game-winning ribby. Jarren Duran, still hitting per usual. But it's a promising sign because I know you look at, the whole season outlook of the Mariners and their offense hasn't been good. But since they've gotten a Rosarena, they've been a good offense. They put up, I think, 10 runs yesterday, or 10 runs 2 days ago on the Red Sox and 7 the night before. So they're still scoring runs whether they're winning or losing games. So to hold them to 2 runs, and there was multiple scenarios where they had guys, in scoring position, less than 2 outs, and the Red Sox held them. So it's promising. Also, quick shout out to Brian Bayo. He pitched, I thought, one of his best starts of the season. I know he got pulled in the 7th after giving up that first and third, but he shut down a really hot lineup. So I'll give a shout out to him. He's a guy that the Red Sox absolutely need down the stretch to perform like this pretty much every start from now on.
Yeah, no, big series winning against a team like Seattle. And for the most part, it was a weirder series where Seattle was just mashing for the most part. But, Red Sox able to tame it in the last game where they win with a pitching game, and they won with a offensive slugfest in game 1. Other series, Padres continue to be red hot. Diamondbacks hold off the Nationals for another win. So, Nick, our teams that we predicted to get hot, 2 different teams, much more impressive win than the other. But, with that being said, can't take away anything from what both teams are doing right now. Both teams are feeling themselves.
Wins a win.
Yep.
Dylan Cease, he's starting to turn it on. I mean, his past month and a half, he's got, no hitter. Right. No hitter. I think the start before that, he gave up like 1 or 2 hits. So he's just been on fire the past, 4 or 5 starts, whatever it's been for him. He's been a huge piece for them.
It was Kershaw that pitched?
Yep. I think that was his second start.
I was about to say, when did he come back? But
I think he came back like a week ago. I don't think he got the win, but we'll see. I mean, 6 hits, 7 run, but only 3 earned.
3 earned. So there was definitely some fielding problems as we saw 3 errors at the
3 errors
top.
is not pretty.
Yeah, so Dodgers will need to work on that fielding before they're sweeping the playoffs. So, with that being said, big win for the Padres. And they're feeling themselves right now. Wouldn't surprise me that was a divisional round matchup we see down the line. And then game of the week, Rockies get the dub against the Angels 2-1.
Yep, big road.
What can only be classified as a movie is the best way to describe it.
This is like Game 7 of the World Series. This type of matchup.
Yeah.
Score in the first, nothing. Then the Angels answer back, and then
answer back middle of the game to just make it. And then the Rockies get a big one late to
who had the
put
late
them over the hump.
I gotta see this. Brenton Doyle. Hey, I thought he was a guy who was
18. So he's got some pop.
He's been raking this year. He's one of their better young players. The Rockies got some good hitters. It's impossible to pitch in their stadium, and they just so happen to play 81 games in that stadium.
Rockies, no matter how bad they are, will always put up some good runs just because of the game they're playing to make it more fun. But with that being said, overall, some big series just wrapped up. Some may be ending today. We'll kind of just get into that real quick before the weekend. I think Royals, Tigers could be very good. Rockies, Angels, make sure to tune in. But arguably, series of the year, we just go to Cleveland for Cleveland-Baltimore, 2 of the top teams in the American League. Is it, I believe, a 4-game series? So
I can check. So we got today, tomorrow.
Yep, it's 4 games. So
games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to decide really who's the 1 seed.
That, and if the Orioles can pick up 3 out of 4, Twins can make up some ground playing the White Sox this weekend. So, fingers crossed for that. But overall, that should be a very fun series that we'll kind of tune in for. But it will be interesting tonight because Baltimore doesn't know who their starter is. So, that'll be very fun to see. But overall, that should be a great series. Cardinals, Cubs, division rivals should be good as well. And then, we'll get into the weekend stuff tomorrow, but there will definitely be some other solid ones to keep an eye on. But, with that being said, as always, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. We'll catch you next one. Peace.